Yeah! All right. My name is Michael DeLu. Today is Monday, May 9th, 2022. This is episode 97 of Pull Up the Tape. I'm about to bring the energy. I'm about to bring the pain. Let's get it, okay? So before we get into today's podcast, I would like to say I hope everyone had an amazing weekend. I hope everyone had I personally had a very eventful weekend, and it was one of the reasons why I am so excited to do today's podcast. For those of you guys who don't know, I am a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And I went to a probate on Friday. And for those of you guys who don't know, a probate is, a new member initiation. So when we have a new line, not we, but whenever a chapter has a new line, they have a probate to introduce their new members to everyone that goes to whatever. So during that whole process and the time I spent at the school, a lot of people came up to me and told me like, "Yo, bro, I'm fucking with your podcast. You're hilarious." And I pride myself in being one of those people that I don't ask anyone to support me. I don't beg anyone to support me because I'm a firm believer that if you put out good content, good product, a good whatever the case may be, it doesn't even have to do specifically content, like even music, or if you have a good business or whatever. If you do good business and you put out good products and good everything, you don't need to ask people to support you. People will. It's gonna grab. It's gonna do numbers itself. And I'm one of those people. Growing up, anytime I would go to the mall and I would run into guys that's just like, "Hey, bro, can you please listen to my mixtape and support my dreams?" I always say yes. I always buy and whatever. And then time and time again, this shit was trash. And I told myself, I'm not gonna beg anyone to support me. If you do, I appreciate it. If you don't, it is what it is. But I know for a fact I don't need to beg people to support me because I know how good I am at what I do. And the numbers will do itself in due time and by God's grace. So to the people who are supporting me and showing me love and shouting me out and reposting me and liking my TikTok videos and all the above, hey, it's more to come on my brother. Okay, it's more to come on the day, homies. It's more to come. I had that was the beginning of a very eventful weekend for me. Yesterday was Mother's Day. I put a smile on my mom's face. I love her so much. She has been a very big supporter in my life, and since I graduated college. Me and my mom didn't always have the best relationship, but it's a good relationship now. And yesterday I sent a lot of love to different people with different situations. I know people who aren't blessed to have their mother with them, so Mother's Day isn't the easiest day for them to get through. So I sent love to those people. And with that being said, I'm ready to start today's episode. Hope everyone has a very eventful week. And like I said, man, I truthfully wish that more people could really understand what exactly I have going on and how much more I have to give to you guys and give to the people who support me and follow me and future supporters and shit like that, man. Hey, I wish y'all really knew, but man, hey, I can't spill the beans on everything. So, y'all just gonna have to see it as things continue to, elevate and, we continue to grow and climb. But with that being said, let's just get right into the politics of today's episode. The Dallas Mavericks beat the Phoenix Suns 111-101. My son, Luka Doncic, 26 points, 7 rebounds, 11 assists. And the first thing I want to say is, what the 11 assists means? The 11 assists means he got his teammates involved. He was kicking out to open shooters. He was driving. He was penetrating. He was the main focus of the defense. And obviously what a player like Luka Doncic does is he gets his teammates open shots. Why? Because he's so fucking incredible that when he penetrates and he blows by, I can't even say blows by. When he gets by his defender, the help defender is looking, or the weak side defender is looking to rotate and help. And Luka does what he does best: dime. And I think it's crazy. What happened the past two games. because the Mavericks are 2-0 when Luka scores under 30 and 0-2 when Luka scores over 30. So in the first two games, Luka went for 45 and 38 respectively. They lost both those games. The next two, Luka goes for 26 and I believe 28 respectfully, and they win the games. And it's a mix of things that we can lend to that. Is one, obviously role players this isn't even this series. Role players in every single series typically play better at home. This is no secret. I feel like this has been the case since I started watching basketball in fucking 2000. Role players will hit more shots and feed off the crowd's energy at home, okay? Dorian Finney-Smith, this is a perfect example. Dorian Finney-Smith yesterday had 24 points. He hit 8 threes. 8 threes. Dorian Finney-Smith hit 8 threes yesterday. He had 24 points. Jalen Brunson had 16 points. Jalen Brunson has struggled the first two games because he couldn't fucking stay out of foul trouble. So, and then it's the fact that role players step up at home. Luka Doncic is more assertive makes the more of a conscious effort to get his teammates involved. And then honestly, it's just the Mavericks were hitting shots. I want to talk about Phoenix. So truthfully, shout out to the Mavericks for even getting this done, because as I was watching the first two games, I was a little worried because I was just like, man, it looks like Dallas might be overmatched, but Dallas was able to come home and clean up their mistakes and really get the job done defensively, because they were able to hold the Suns to relatively okay. The Suns got over 100 this game, or 101 barely, but the last game they held them under 100 points. The Mavericks played really, really good defensively the past two games. They played better offensively as a team. And, the first two games and the only thing that criticism I could give the Mavericks were, I feel like they were too reliant on Luka Doncic and the ball was too stagnant and part of it is also Luka not being able to not wanting to take over and assert his dominance in the game. And also, his teammates being complacent, which, we're going to let Luka cook and we're just going to sit around and watch, which is fucking terrible. But the last two games, they did a better, more concerted job of, putting together a better balanced attack on offense, and it's showing, okay? Shout out to the Mavericks because, I want the Mavericks to win. Luka Doncic is my son, my little brother. I'll fuck with him. I've been rocking with him since 2018. So to see him flourish like this makes me happy. Okay? Now let me talk about Chris Paul. Okay? And people always wonder, oh, Michael, what's your beef with Chris Paul? What's your it seems like you don't like Chris Paul. No. I like Chris Paul. But I'm just not gonna I can't ignore the facts or the truth. Yesterday, Chris Paul had more fouls than he did points. Chris Paul fouled out, had six fouls, 5 points. Okay, he also did have 7 assists and I think 5 rebounds. So, it wasn't a terrible game, but definitely as I watched the game, when I started watching the game, I believe Chris Paul had picked up his I don't know if this was his 4th foul or his 5th foul where he tried to where he fouled Luka Doncic as Luka attempted to Luka grabbed the rebound off of Chris Paul's miss, and Luka flopped to the ground, and then Chris Paul got a foul, and I believe that might have been his 5th foul, and then his 6th foul was his 4th foul was when he tried to undercut. His 4th foul was when he tried to stop on a dime and draw a foul on Jalen Brunson, and then they got called an offensive foul. Then the 5th one was on Luka, and then the 6th one was just bullshit. First of all, a player of Chris Paul's stature, it just doesn't even make sense for him to be going but this is what Chris Paul does. Chris Paul flops, gets calls, and it's first of all, it's one of the worst thing. It's one of the things that I absolutely hate about the game of basketball. And somehow, some way, Chris Paul has been able to master the art of drawing bullshit ass fouls and getting stupid ass calls. The fact that Chris Paul does. Chris Paul does that shit too often. It's fucking annoying, and I hate seeing it. I feel like it ruins the game of basketball, and it's just fucking dumb. Like, and this is part of the some of the criticism I have for the NBA, because shit like that, I just niggas don't even do that at 24. I don't understand why that's sliding on the fucking NBA court. That shit is dumb as fuck. But once in a while you get situations like this, and it just and Chris Paul, truthfully, you need to be playing as many minutes in the playoffs as possible. The Phoenix, like, for those of you guys who don't know, Chris Paul has been labeled this winner, even though he's never won anything. Chris Paul goes to teams and then they experience growth and success. He did it with New Orleans. He did it with the Clippers. He did it with the Rockets. He did it with OKC, and he's doing it right now with the Suns. The Suns have had the best year in franchise history this year. They won the most games they've ever won in the history of the franchise this year. And majority of that is thanks to Chris Paul. But Chris Paul has never won a championship. So Chris Paul does not have the luxury of fouling out in games where they can take a commanding series lead and go home and possibly close out the game. Chris Paul, you have never won a championship. And the closest you came, you disappeared down the stretch of majority of those games. You cannot do shit like this. You cannot fucking foul out. You cannot be picking up cheap-ass, bitch-ass fouls. For what? Just doesn't make sense. There's a clear difference with him on the court versus off the court. And the shit that he did yesterday, that was bullshit. That was bullshit. Devin Booker had 35 points. The next closest scorer had 15, and that was Jay Crowder. Mikal Bridges, nowhere to be found. He was 3 of 9 from the field, 6 points. DeAndre Ayton had like 14 points, 11 rebounds. Definitely should have been more assertive and more dominant, but it is what it is. Me personally, I'm just extremely happy that the Mavericks and the Sixers were able to turn their series around. I don't really care who wins between the Heat and the Sixers, but in terms of the Mavs and the Suns, I'm definitely rooting for the Mavericks to win. I don't fuck with the Suns. The Suns embarrassed my Lakers over and over and over and over again. And truthfully, I never bought the hype that the Suns will be back in the finals. No, I think whoever wins between the Suns and the Mavericks will lose to the Warriors in the next round. I think the Warriors go up 3-1 tonight, and then honestly close out the game, close this shit out in 5. Honestly, that's what I think is going to happen. And, majority of times I'm right. So, as I said before, I'm really excited that these two teams were able to even up the series. So obviously you guys know what's next. I'm gonna talk about the Sixers. And one of the things I will say about the Sixers, I was completely wrong. Okay, and when I'm arguing with people, whether it's my mom, whether it's Dominique, whether it's whether it's Ari, whether it's Joseph, whether it's fucking my brother Emmanuel or Steven, when I'm wrong, I admit it. If you go back into the vault a couple episodes ago, man, I was shitting on the Sixers. I was shitting on the Sixers. I was like, the Sixers are down 0-2. Even if Joel and B were playing, they'd be down 0-2. I couldn't be more wrong. I had coming into the playoffs, I had absolutely no faith in the Sixers. I had absolutely no faith in the Sixers. I can firmly say this. I had absolutely no faith in the Sixers. And boy, was I wrong. I was wrong. And I admit it. I was wrong. James Harden yesterday had 31 points. And 16 of his 31 points came in the fourth quarter. For only the third time this playoffs, James Harden shot over 40%. 7 of the 10 playoff games he's played this season, he shot under 40%, which is honestly bad. Okay, I'm gonna go through some numbers. So yesterday he had 31 points. That's the second most points he scored since he became a Philadelphia 76er. Yesterday he had 18 shot attempts. That's the second most shot attempts he's taken since he became a Philadelphia 76er. Yesterday he had 10 attempts for 3. That is the second most attempts he's taken since he became a Philadelphia Sixer. The reason why James Harden looked so good yesterday is because he was fucking aggressive. It's Joel Embiid, his teammates. Everybody had been begging this man, please take over the game. Please be more aggressive. Please be more aggressive. It seemed like that. You guys have you guys seen that meme? Police, help! Police, help! Like, literally, that James Harden, help! James Harden, help! James Harden, help! Help! Literally, that is what the Sixers are screaming. Nigga, please. Yes, please do this. Do this. He wasn't doing none of this. This is what the Sixers need. If the Sixers can get this, they can get to the next round. They're not winning the next round, but they can get to the next round. And maybe they'll have something to build on in the offseason. James Harden needs to keep doing this. God damn. Nigga looked like he was they were wearing red jerseys. Nigga fuck around and thought he was playing for Houston. That's shit. But it was a great team effort. James Harden, 6 players for the Sixers had at double figures. James Harden, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Danny Green, who the past 2 games has went 10 of 13 from 3, and George Niang. And I got to get to Miami right now. So, man, I was one of those people. I literally, like I said, I didn't give the Sixers a fucking chance because, for one, I just felt like they just weren't good enough. But Joel Embiid coming back has obviously showed me that that's not true. Miami literally has no answer for Joel Embiid. They legit have to double team him every time he gets the ball to even attempt to slow him down. Jimmy Butler yesterday had scored 40 points, and it looked like one of those Luka Doncic performances against the Suns in the first 2 games where he dominated, but outside of that, he didn't really get too much help from his teammates because the next closest player had 25, and then after that, it was abysmal. Like, it was just really, really bad. Miami's shooting the past 2 games has been fucking terrible. Game 3, they shot 7 of 30. That's fucking bad. That's under 30%. Game 4, 7 of 30. That's even worse. Even worse. In total, the past 2 games, 14 and 65 from 3. That's under 25% for 3. Come on now. And Miami's supposed to be one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league. That is fucking pitiful. I hate to say this, but man, Doc Rivers made some coaching adjustments, and he's looking like a competent coach while Eric Spoelstra is looking like fucking Doc Rivers. This shit is not it. Come on, Eric Spoelstra has to pick his fucking game up. Eric Spoelstra, you need to. I need a reasoning for why Duncan Robinson isn't playing. I just don't understand how you pay a man almost $20 million a year. He's only logged 1 minute in this playoff series. You guys are struggling from 3 the past 2 games, and he hasn't logged a single. I understand I guess he's a liability on defense, but I feel like there's ways you can hide him on that end of the floor. But hey, what do I know? So I'm happy that both, like I said, I'm happy that both of those series are tied up 2-2, and it's a best of 3, and we'll see how the rest of this shit plays out. So UFC 274. I want to give Dana White and the UFC a round of applause. For once again putting up a great card. Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson. What a fight. And this is the reason why, and I talk with this about my homie Joseph all the time. Joseph is a amateur boxer right now who will be turning pro really, really soon. Joseph agreed that one of the main calling cards that the UFC has over boxing is that the top dudes always fight each other. Like, there is no ducking and dodging. There is no Canelo and Triple G type shit where I don't want to fight him because of this. There's none of that because all the fighters are all the best fighters are under the same promotion. It's not Golden Boy. It's not top rank or whatever the case may be. None of that shit. It's not none of that shit. And the top dudes want to fight the top dudes, and they make it happen. They give the fans the fights that the fans want. Boxing, on the other hand, that's not the case. I mean, when Floyd and Manny finally fought each other, it was years past both of their primes. It was a good fight, but it would have been a better fight in their primes, and so on and so forth. Michael Chandler kicked Tony Ferguson in his fucking face and knocked him out, gave Tony Ferguson his 4th loss in a row. I don't know. And then after the fight, Michael Chandler calls out Conor McGregor. And it like I said, great card. And then the next fight, I actually have to speak on this. Rose Namajunas and Carla Esparza put on the worst fight I have ever seen in the history of the UFC. I repeat, the worst fight I have ever seen in the history of the UFC. I repeat, the worst fight I have ever seen in the history of the UFC. I repeat, the worst fight I have ever seen in the history of the UFC. That fight was fucking terrible. Terrible. There are so many different things I would rather do than watch that fucking fight. I'm like, wait. How the fuck is this? How? And the crazy thing is, the last time I seen Rose Namajunas fight, she knocked out Zhang Weili. For her to come out and perform like this was fucking pitiful. As the champion, you come out and you fight like that. What the fuck was that? Look at how you lost your title. It just really didn't make any sense, and I was just so puzzled because, like, why? Like, how you put on a dynamic performance to win your title. You come out and this is the performance you give. A lot of things just didn't add up. And then even the fight itself was terrible. And she lost. She lost split decision. She lost. And she didn't even get her ass beat. Man. Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje was an interesting fight, to say the least. Because Charles Oliveira proved why he's the best lightweight in the world. Proved it. And I'm really disappointed in Justin Gaethje's performance because Justin Gaethje did a lot of talking on the Full Send podcast and said he was... I have the hiccups. My bad, y'all. He did a lot of talking, said he was going to come on and dominate this fight. And to put on the type of performance he did was fucking terrible. Like, I was honestly disappointed in what I saw from Justin Gaethje. Because every time I think Justin Gaethje's going to come out and just like, and wow me, and it doesn't happen. I'm really disappointed that I wasted an hour of my life watching that episode of that podcast when I'm like, I could have done something way more productive than that. Charles Oliveira is a monster. He got tagged, he got rocked, but he came out and he put it on Gaethje. He proved it without a doubt. He is the best and the baddest motherfucking lightweight on the fucking planet. It's not even close. I will bet Charles Oliveira, and it's crazy the type of performance, and he sent the fucking message to the rest. He said it himself. I'm a fucking problem. I am a problem to the rest of the division. Y'all better, hey, y'all can't fuck with me. Y'all cannot fuck with me. Say straight up. Said that shit in Portuguese. I didn't understand a lick of what he was saying, but I could tell. I know when a nigga talking his shit. I can see I know it. It's written all over his body language and all that shit. I know when a nigga talking shit because I'm a shit talker myself. I know when a nigga talking shit because I'm a shit talker myself, okay? I know when a nigga talking shit because I'm a shit talker myself. UFC put on a great card, And the card was so great that I wasn't able to watch the next thing that I'm about to talk about, which is Canelo versus Dmitry Bivol. And I honestly fucking hate when this happens, when the UFC and boxing have massive fights on the same night, because it's like, fuck, I'm only gonna get to watch one of these. And unfortunately, I picked the UFC fight because I didn't know too much about Dmitry Bivol, and I just assumed like, oh, Canelo's gonna win the fight, but he didn't. He did not win the fight. I did not watch this fight, so I had to catch the highlights, and I had to catch I had to rewatch the fight later. But Canelo lost his first fight in almost 10 years. Well, officially lost, because I don't know. I personally feel like he lost that fight to Triple G, but hey, what do I know? Other than his fight with Floyd, we seen Canelo go in there and lose rounds, but it always seemed like he figured it out, even against guys that were bigger than him, a little faster than him, stronger than him, whatever the case may be, because Canelo is an elite technician. He is elite with everything he does, his power, his movement, his stamina, his lead hand, everything about Canelo is elite. Like, you know what I mean? So, I feel like with guys, somebody like Canelo, you just assume he's gonna figure it out eventually. But Canelo it just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. Dmitry Bivol won a unanimous decision. All the judges scored the fight 115 to 113, and I personally feel like that was bullshit. Like, based on the fight that I watched, Canelo was getting tagged the whole time, man. Canelo won 3 rounds max. Look. Dmitry, first of all, y'all should know better than fighting Russians. Russian fighters in both in boxing and MMA are some of the most dominant dudes in the sports. Dmitry was like a fucking machine. He had a game plan. Yo. This man had a game plan and he stuck to it. Even when Canelo tried to bait him and tried to, he didn't fall for it. He wasn't going to let Canelo control any aspect of this fight whatsoever. He stayed disciplined and behind his jab. He got off good combinations whenever he could, and the few times that he was on the ropes, he never stayed in the ropes. And he was quick to get the fuck out of there. Quick hands, quick feet, great ring IQ, phenomenal lead hand, and he was just too much for Canelo all fucking night. Majority of this fight was in his realm, and which was in the middle of the ring, and that just gave Canelo way too much problems. Bivol's 6 feet, Canelo's 5'8". He's stronger than Canelo, was hitting Canelo harder, and he just was too, the reach of it. Canelo just honestly bit off more than he could chew, and I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, props to Canelo for even fighting at heavyweight." I don't give a fuck. Y'all seem to forget that Canelo called him out. Canelo said to himself that he can't afford to start slow like he usually does because Bivol is too talented. Canelo and truthfully, Canelo just bit off more than he could chew. And Canelo said in the post fight that he wants a rematch, but honestly, I don't see how the rematch would like look any different. Honestly, I just don't see. Canelo made several mistakes that I feel like cost him this fight. He said himself he changed his diet. He went vegan this training camp. He came in overly confident, and he just, like I said, he fought above his natural weight class. And like, truthfully, now, the whole this whole notion that Canelo's just, hey man, we've seen Canelo look out of sorts on multiple occasions against some really elite fighters. Okay, we've seen some dudes have success against Canelo, Triple G, Dmitry Bivol, and I feel like I've seen Canelo look unimpressive at certain times. Like, Canelo is an amazing fighter, but he's not Floyd. Don't ever compare Canelo to Floyd. You guys are giving Canelo a pass right now because he called him out. It wasn't the other way around. He called him out. Canelo bit off too much that he can chew, and he lost. There's nothing wrong with losing. But if they run it back, I'm not convinced that the Canelo would even win. I'm not convinced. After what I saw, Canelo won 3 rounds max. 3 rounds max. You mean to tell me he's going to come out and just dump? No, fuck no. He won 3-round max, and the judges still gave him a favorable. Hey, what the fuck? 115. That's bullshit. But with that being said, that concludes episode 97 of PullUpDaTape. I had a lot I was trying to squeeze into, so I couldn't really really do my thing, talk my shit, but nevertheless, it is what it is. With that being said, my name is Michael DeLu. Once again, I want to thank every single fucking person that's supporting, that's liking my videos, that's subscribing to my channel, that's watching my TikTok videos, that's supporting in any way, shape, or form. I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, fuck with it. I appreciate it so fucking much. For real, for real. With that being said, long live my brother, Abdul. I miss you every single day. Long live Nip. Long live Pop. Long live Gigi. Long live Kobe. Long live Pop. Whoa. Hey, free Pooh Shiesty. Free Chef G. Chef G. Free Chef G. I'm out this bitch, nigga.